Hello, thank you for joining me again. I'm at the laboratories in St. Petersburg, Florida that make this awesome product we're here to talk about today. And it's hyssop health therapy.
That's right.
And Carolyn Schukert, chairman of the board of the company, and my good friend Grant Jeffries, who's spokesperson for this awesome product. And we're going to get into this discussion. In your book, Signature of God, Joe Schukert called me and said, "What do you know about hyssop? What do you know about Grant Jeffries?" I said, "Well, my son knows him better than I do, but you've done a lot of research on the subject of hyssop." Joe Schukert took your word and took that the information you gave, and he developed it into a product that we're here to talk about today, the hyssop health therapy.
It's true. One of the things that's amazing to me is I wrote the book Signature of God as a confirmation that the Bible is inspired and is supernatural. And one of my arguments in the book was medical evidence in the Bible that's thousands of years in advance of their day. And David, what I was trying to say is, throughout the biblical statements, especially in the word of Moses in the 5 first books of the Bible, there are over 100 medical statements that are thousands of years in advance of their day. We didn't even know germs existed until 1890. Yet Moses, 3,500 years ago, is saying to break a pottery cup if there's a crack in it, that enemy weapons must be burned through the fire. How does he know this? Well, I looked at another very interesting passage, Numbers 19. Here's this very curious sacrifice. It is called the ashes of the red heifer and the waters of purification. A young priest was to take a young heifer, a young cow, about 3 years old. He was to take it, it was pure red, no white or black hair, no yoke upon it, outside the camp, kill it, and then he was to burn the body. But he was to add hyssop, and he was to add to that cedar and scarlet thread. Now this sacrifice was unusual because they burned the whole thing and then they took the ashes and they would take the ashes and put it into a cistern that held a lot of water. And the Bible said that that water holding the hyssop and the other different objects would in fact be a purification ritual, not only spiritually but medicinally. The Bible in Numbers 19 tells us that when someone had buried an animal, buried a person, a father, that you were unclean, you were contaminated, you were really sinful spiritually until the evening of the 7th day. And yet if you had a young priest who would take a hyssop branch and he would put it in the water of purification made from the ashes and the hyssop and the cedar and the scarlet, then you would become clean. Now this is fascinating because what we find is that when someone had leprosy, that they died in that tent, they would take a hyssop branch and the waters of purification and they would sprinkle it on the body,
Amazing.
On the tent, on all the objects in the room, and they would become clean. It's very obvious, David, that we're dealing with an antibacteriological product that God revealed to Moses in the Old Testament 35 centuries ago. And we find in the book of Psalms, chapter 51, verse 7, "Purify me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow." It's very clear that this is not only spiritual cleansing, but it's literally purifying the body. So as I looked through the Bible, I pointed out in the book that the ancient biblical hyssop, which was called in Hebrew, the word was hyssop, that the great Jewish rabbi from 1200 AD, Rabbi Moses Maimonides, said that this was in fact Syrian hyssop, which he related to the Syrian oregano. And this product was stronger than European hyssop or North American hyssop. And what we've now discovered is that this product, which God specifically authorized to be used in the case of leprosy or in the case of death, contamination with death, was something that God had authorized for the Jews to use to help them, to purify them against the terrible germs that were available in their environment. It's fascinating because throughout the Bible we find references to the waters of purification derived from this hyssop. And when I was told by you not so long ago that someone who was working in the area of medicinal products and cosmetics, wanting to help people solve their health problems, was actually experimenting medically with medical doctors and verifying that hyssop actually has this antimicrobial and antivirus quality. It was astonishing to me that this is something that God could literally bring forth from the past to be used in the future. And David, I've been using it now for well over a month, and as my wife has. It has helped in some of the skin problem I had on my back. I have been taking it beneath the tongue, and I had some mucus build up in the fall, in the flu in the late winter in Canada, and it's gone.
It's amazing.
It is actually working for me, and I'm just delighted, as is my wife, Kay.